Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm sorry about the lighting. By any chance you can see like a reddish lighting, is because I've got my curtains down because it's too sunny. Sorry if the camera keeps moving downwards, it's because I've got it weirdly set up. But anyway, today's video is going to be more to the series that I do, which is my collection declutter video. And today, as you can tell, it's all about the eyeshadows. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. This palette that I can tell you straight off the bat that I am definitely going to be keeping is my Sweet Peach Too Faced palette, or Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. It looks like this. It was the very first high-end palette that I have ever bought. It's £39 and I just think that it's definitely worth it. It's got pink shadows, it's got browns, it's got transition colours, it blends out beautifully, it's super pigmented. I just love everything about this palette and I do think it's worth the money, and I would always prefer this one over palettes like Urban Decay Naked palettes, because I just find them to be too basic and too like, I don't know, I just feel like I've got more options with this palette, so I love it. I 100% recommend it and I'm 100% going to be keeping it. The palette that I'm going to be probably passing along is this one, which is by Nude. I had this palette for quite a while now. I can't remember who got it for me, but it was definitely a gift. The eyeshadows are pretty good actually. They're not the most pigmented out there, but they're really good beginner's eyeshadow. Like, it was my perfect beginner's eyeshadow palette, but it's time for me to say goodbye. I don't reach for this guy anymore, but I do know that there are some people from my friends and family who will want to use this, so I'm going to pass it along to them. Now, when it comes to these two sticks from Makeup Gallery, they're from Poundland. They're okay, but I don't tend to reach for cream stick shadows. I prefer much more my little pots from Maybelline, so I am also going to be passing along these to someone. Now, another palette that I am definitely going to be passing along is this Essence All About Nude eyeshadow palette, and I just find this palette to be really bad. Like, it's barely pigmented. It just feels like it's too hardly pressed inside, so it doesn't come off with almost anything, and it's just really crap palette and I don't recommend it to anyone. This little eyeshadow single is from MaxFactor. It's the I have no idea what colour it is. Again, all the information about all the products and everything will be listed down in the description box, so check that out. But this is just like a mauvey pink colour, and I mean the pigment isn't bad at all. Like, you can see that it's not bad. It's just I don't reach for this particular little guy, so I do feel like someone else could make a better use out of it, so I'm going to pass it along. Now, this little guy is number 7 and it's another single, which is Stay Perfect eyeshadow. It looks like this. Again, it's like a greyish mauvey pink or mauvey purplish. I don't know. I don't reach for this eyeshadow single. I can't really just pop it on my eye on its own. I would have to use other eyeshadows, so might as well just use palettes or my buildable individual eyeshadows. So I'm going to be passing this one along as well. Now, if we move on to these Maybelline cream eyeshadow tattoo, whatever it's called. This one, which is Permanent Taupe. It's the colour 24-hour tattoo by Maybelline, basically. This colour is just so dried out by now because I just don't use it. It's like a really, greyish tone, and I don't reach for this particular colour, so I am going to be passing this one along to someone else. I am definitely going to be keeping these two though. This is the On and On Bronze and Pink Gold. The On and On Bronze has definitely been a lot more used out of me. Look at that, I mean, it's beautiful. It's a great base for when I'm doing the smoky eye. I can just put this on and then put other eyeshadows on. And then this one is the pink one, and this is just a really good colour for me to pop on when I just want this and nothing else on my eyes. It's got like a pink undertone, well, it is pink. Now, when it comes to these two other ones, this is the Eternal Gold and Endless Purple. The purple one looks like this. It is a beautiful colour, it's just I don't reach out for colours like this, and when it comes to eyeliners, I have other colourful eyeliners that I could use instead. So I'm going to be passing this along, but I do recommend if this is the kind of colour that you would put on your eyes quite often, And then this golden one, again, it is beautiful, it's just I don't put these kind of colours on my eyes every day, or like not that frequently as much as I would want them, and obviously I don't want them to dry down and go off before they get proper use out of it, so I'm going to be passing these along to someone else as well. Now these three eyeshadows are separate eyeshadows that you can buy from Revlon, and they come like this. They're really tiny, they're like £3 each I think, or £4, and you can create your own little eyeshadow palette out of it if you wish to do so. It looks like that. And I have the colours Bone, Copper and Taupe, and I don't use any of these, so I'm going to be passing them along. Now when it comes to these two, this is the Maybelline Natural Accents eyeshadow in the shade Khaki, and I just don't reach for this colour, so I'm going to be passing it along. And the same goes for this one, which is the L'Oreal one. It's the L'Oreal Infallible colour in the shade Permanent Khaki. Again, I don't use it, and this one seems really weird because you open it and you got the like creamy liquidy thing and it just feels like it's gone off, so I don't know. Again, I don't use this kind of shadow, so there's no point of me keeping them in my collection anymore, so I'm going to be passing them along to a friend or family or a charity. And the same thing goes for these two pigments, and this one has been sent to me in a glossy box and this one has been given to me by my mum. So I don't know anything about any of these two brands, so I will list them down below, but I don't know much about them. And this is like a greyish, really glittery kind of loose pigment. I don't reach for it, I don't like the kind of colour combination on my eyes. And this is a really nice, like a bronzy pigment, but it's just I have other bronzy colours that I would prefer more and they are less messy to use. So I'm going to be passing it along to someone who will actually use them a lot more than I did. So the next stuff that I am going to be passing along is this little guy right here. It's the Rimmel's Candle Eyes eyeshadow stick. It looks like this. It's okay, it's alright consistency, but again, as I explained with the other sticks, I just prefer my Maybelline pots a bit more, so I'm going to be passing this along. Now I have two glitters, loose glitters from Barry M. This is like more of a white dusty pearly one, and this is like a straight on silver glitter. I am going to be keeping the white dusty one because I don't have any other glitter in this kind of colour, but I am going to be passing along this silver one because of the palette that I'm going to show you next. So keeping the white one and passing along the silver one. And the palette that I was on about is this one, which is the Urban Decay Moondust palette, and it's got all different glitters that I would ever possibly need. This palette was like £36 I believe, and I love it. It's not something that I would use on an everyday basis, or at least not all of the colours. Maybe this one I would use on an everyday basis. But it is a good quality. I experienced the least amount of fallout with them. I do experience more fallout with the other loose glitters. So I would, I'm definitely keeping this. I would recommend it if you love glitters as well. Now this is another Barry M eyeshadow palette. I'm not in love with any of the eyeshadows other than this middle one, but I realised there's no point of me keeping this entire palette just because of one eyeshadow, so I'm going to be passing this along. Now I have some single eyeshadows that are magnetic, and this very first one is not, I regret buying, not because of the quality of it. The quality is beautiful. This is, by the way, the Makeup Geek eyeshadow in the shade Typhoon. It is very beautiful and very pigmented, like just look at that, and I could keep going, you know. Like it is beautiful, but I don't reach for this, but I do want to keep it just because of the sake that I paid the money for it and it is beautiful, and one day I will make a makeup look with this. These are the other three eyeshadows that I have that are magnetic. I am only going to be keeping this one. By the way, these eyeshadows are from Freedom Makeup. I am only going to be keeping this one because this is quite a unique colour to my collection. I don't have a matte, like a red berry, whatever you want to call it, colour like this. I am going to be keeping this one, but these two I am going to be passing along to someone else. Another eyeshadow palette that I am going to be passing along is this e.l.f. Little Black Beauty Block eyeshadow edition, and it's just, you open it, it's got a little mirror here, and it's got all kinds of different eyeshadows. There are no matte eyeshadows in here, they're all just glittery. They're not shimmery, they're glittery. And I don't find them as pigmented. Like they swatch nice, like on the finger, but when you swipe, they just don't do much, so I'm going to be passing them along. Another eyeshadow palette I'm going to be passing along is this one right here. It's the Maybelline the Nudes palette. I just never got on board with this one. The only shadow that I kind of really like is the first one, just because it's got some goldy undertone in it, and also this one, which again it's just really nice, but it's not worth me keeping, so I'm going to be passing it along to someone else. I don't like the blendability of this colour or the pigmentation, and I don't think that for the money it's worth. I don't think it's worth it, because there are better quality eyeshadows on the market in drugstores that you can get for the same price. The palette that I also going to be keeping is, excuse me, is this one right here. It's the Makeup Revolution Salvation palette in Ultimate Color Chaos. I think that these eyeshadows are beautiful, pigmented. Obviously it's not something that I would wear every day, but it's something that I want in my collection, and I'd rather keep these ones than the bigger palette that I'm going to show you soon. I love them, and they're worth the money, and they're definitely good for any looks that I want to do a little pop of colour with. This palette right here is another Makeup Revolution palette. This is the Redemption palette Iconic 2. I got it for Christmas, but I don't reach for this palette, and I'm not saying it's bad, but I do have better Makeup Revolution palettes, so I am going to be passing it along. They are pigmented, like you can definitely do looks with it, but I just have too many eyeshadows that are exactly identical to these, so I'd rather keep them than this one, so I'm going to be passing this one along as well. Right, this palette right here, I was debating it because I love these two Makeup Revolution palettes, well these three actually, but they're so similar, so I'm like, okay, well this one is the Makeup Revolution Beyond Flawless palette, and I think this one is the one that I'm going to be passing along to someone else. I have used quite a lot of shades, but this one has more of the shades that I would use a bit more often than this one. These colours kind of just tend to blend together, so I'm going to be passing along this one and keeping that one. Now this was the very first Makeup Revolution palette that I have ever bought. It is the Iconic Pro 1 Salvation palette, and it's beautiful. A lot of people say that it is a dupe for the Lorac Pro 1 palette. I just don't reach for this anymore. I think that there's someone else who can make a better, more use out of this, so I'm going to pass it along to someone else. But I do love them, they're beautiful, the blendability is great, the pigmentation is great, and the price point is great, so I do recommend this. It's just I don't reach for this little guy anymore, and I do love it so much that I want someone else to use it up more than I would. Now we move on to my makeup obsession individual shadow palettes. I'm going to be keeping every single one of these. All of these eyeshadows, every single one of them was £2. I think that they're beautifully pigmented, except this one. This one's a bit crappy. But everything else, they're beautifully pigmented, they blend well. If you want more kick out of it, then you spray it with like a setting spray or something like that, and it just shows even better. These two are new to my collection, and I'm excited to try them out. I just feel like they have such amazing colour range, and you can definitely, you can buy the smaller palette that is like 2 rows like this, and so you could literally customise your perfect eye look with these shadows under £10 altogether. I think it's definitely worth it. I think you guys should check it out if you live in the UK and you can access them easily. And yeah, I'm going to be keeping every single one of them, even if some shadows are not necessarily what I would use on an everyday basis. And even though I necessarily don't reach out for them every single day, but I think they're worth it, and they allow me to be creative with different looks, so I'm going to be keeping all of these. And now the final two palettes that I want to talk to you about are these two. This was like, okay, you know when I said that the Makeup Revolution Salvation Pro whatever 1 palette was the first one I bought? That was the first one that I bought. This one was my very first eyeshadow palette that I have ever got. My boyfriend got it to me, funnily enough this one as well. He got it to me because he was like, well, it's pretty cheap and you got massive variation of different things that you could do with it because it looks like this. And I mean, I did use it, like, obviously I didn't use all of the colours, I did use more of the brown ones when I was trying to do like a smoky eye. And it is a pretty cheap palette. However, after discovering loads of different other palettes, I don't believe that this one's worth it any longer. The eyeshadows are not as pigmented as I would hope them to be. Like do you see that? Like, It's this one right here, and it just doesn't come off. Or let's go for this green one. It's just, it doesn't come off nicely on the eye. Like, it requires a lot of building, and the eyeshadow still doesn't look as good as I would want it to be. So unfortunately, even though it was the very first palette I have ever got from a boyfriend, or generally in my entire life, I am going to be passing it along to someone who will be happy with the pigmentation of it. I mean, they do blend well, because they're not pigmented, but yeah, so to someone who will love it more than I did, or use it more than I did, and yeah, I don't reach for this little guy anymore. And the last palette that I can tell you straight away I am keeping, my boyfriend got this for me. It's the Morphe Brushes 35p palette. It's the plum colours, and it's like £21 on Beauty Bay. I love this palette. It was my very first Morphe palette, the only Morphe palette that I own currently. I do plan on buying more, and that's why I went for these colours. Because it's got pinky mauve shades, like a nice berry shade, purples, but it's got also brown and transition shades. It's got some shimmers, it's got some mattes, it's got this weird glittery one that I still haven't figured out. But I think that generally the pigmentation of them is just brilliant. Like, look, there is one swatch. There is another swatch. Then we got this. I mean, that one came out a bit chalky, but do you know what I mean? Like, it's really pigmented. Like, even the light shades are really pigmented, and they blend well, they're beautiful. I think that they're worth the money. £21 isn't that much for the fact that you're getting 35 shades. They're definitely more affordable than, for example, what was it, the Velvet Voss or something like that, I can't remember, or the Juvia's Place palettes. I'm not saying those are bad, I've heard really good things about them, but I think that for me, these are good enough for me right now, and they're a lot more affordable, and I can create a lot more looks from this. So I can't wait to get more, and I'm definitely keeping this one. And I do recommend it to you guys that if you do want to try out like a big palette with loads of shadows, I would recommend Morphe palettes for that. Alright guys, so these are the only things that I am keeping. Right now, when I'm looking at the pile of things that I am passing along, I feel really sad, and I really want some extra income so I can go and buy more palettes, because now I feel really sad. The only reason why I hold on to so many palettes is just because I want variations in my makeup tutorials. But I thought, you know what, what's the point of giving you a tutorial on something that I can achieve with a different palette that I believe in the quality and pigmentation a bit more than the other ones, and half of the other ones I have not been reaching out for, so keeping these and getting rid of a lot more. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, don't forget to subscribe. I love you very much, thank you very much for your support, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!